I think we've all heard of the Mario Kart series by this point. The smashing success of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is absolutely mind-boggling. Mario Kart itself is a worldwide hit. We've all probably played a game from the series. Now, the only question is, which game is the best? That's why I'm here. I'm your host, Dastardly John, and you're watching Ranked. The first game we're going to be ranking is also the first game in the series, Super Mario Kart. Now, this is the first game in the franchise, and it really shows. The fact that this game is in the same series as this game is really surprising. However, it really just goes to show how far Mario Kart has come. The game itself is decent. If you enjoy the classic game experience, then you'll enjoy this game. But personally, I wouldn't recommend going back to it from something like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe thinking you'll get a similar experience, because you're not going to. The game didn't feature any sort of battle mode. While this is a downside, the rest of the game is alright. But then again, it's not great. The CPUs are all over the place when it comes to their difficulty level. Some of them are so bad that you're lapping them, and some of them are so good that they're lapping you. And mind you, this happens in the same race at the same time. That's nice. CPUs have also been known to use random items at random points throughout the race. Why? Nobody knows. In terms of how the game controls, it's definitely not great. It's pretty clunky if I'm being honest. Don't even get me started on drifting. The only time you should drift is on really tight turns. And even then, it's still a risk. You can get around most corners by just turning regularly. It's really not worth the risk unless you know what you're doing, and I don't. I did discover why drifting is so difficult though. When you hit the drift button, all you're actually doing is a hop into a regular turn. This causes a good amount of oversteering, only good for tight turns. In the end, despite my gripes, it's a fun Mario Kart game. However, it still sucks. I'm gonna put Super Mario Kart in D tier. Next, we've got Mario Kart 64. Now, this game was better than Super Mario Kart. Let me be clear on that. It introduced a good amount of new mechanics, mainly in the drifting. Let me just say that when you go to drift, unless you know what you're doing, you're going all the way, whether you like it or not. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're heading right for that wall, whether you like it or not. I sort of managed to get the hang of drifting, but it's still really inconsistent. They did improve drifting from the previous game, which makes it a lot better. As mentioned before, this game is better than Super Mario Kart. It has the N64's 3D graphics. Those graphics are much better than the previous game, and the gameplay does feel a bit smoother. Personally, this game took a while to grow on me. Also, can I just mention that you can't go backwards? There were several spots where I desperately needed to go backwards, and the option wasn't even there. There were also a couple of stupidly long tracks. Rainbow Road, 7 minutes. There was no way for you to fall off the track. It was just 7 minutes of just driving with some chain chomps. I'm really confused by this. Why is this necessary? However, despite all this, it's still fun to look back at what Mario Kart used to be and say, man, I'm glad that's over. Mario Kart 64 goes in B tier. Now, we're going to move into Mario Kart Super Circuit. This game feels like a sort of reimagining of Super Mario Kart, but Nintendo just failed on so many levels. Like, it's worse than Super Mario Kart by a long shot. This is because it doesn't have that classic game charm that Super Mario Kart had. It just feels like Super Mario Kart all over again, just made worse. Now, I think it could be said that Mario Kart Super Circuit isn't bad, and I'd agree with you there to a point. It does have its charm, however, it doesn't hold up well. And similar to Super Mario Kart, it pales in comparison to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I mean, come on, no one likes Mario Kart Super Circuit. F tier. Mario Kart Double Dash. Double Dash is an interesting game. I personally tried very hard to like it, but I just couldn't. It's a decent Mario Kart game, but it's not a great one. I don't love the way that the game controls, since it feels too much like Mario Kart 64, and I didn't love how that game was controlled. When you drift in Double Dash, you have to push the steering stick in the opposite direction of the way that you're steering in order to upgrade your boost. Now, this isn't that big of a deal, obviously. Anybody can get used to this. But it does create a sort of boundary for new players because they don't really understand how to drift. They're trying to drift and they don't get a boost. They just stay on the base drift. It was also just a little annoying. This feature was also in Mario Kart 64, but in Mario Kart 64, it was more difficult to drift in general, and so it wasn't as noticeable. It also introduced a gimmicky feature where you choose 2 characters instead of 1. It's gimmicky, and I like it. What I don't like is how I can't seem to nail the start boost. It doesn't make sense. But despite this, Mario Kart Double Dash is getting an A tier. A solid Mario Kart game, but unfortunately, due to the backwards L, it's not gonna get S. Up next is Mario Kart DS. I have mixed feelings about this one. In some ways, it's a pretty solid Mario Kart game. I think it continues a couple of good features from old Mario Kart games, while continuing to feel a bit more like a modern Mario Kart game, at least when compared with the previous ones. However, this doesn't mean that I don't have my gripes. I really don't like how difficult it is. Even on the top of my game, the CPUs are right there next to me. Unless you're doing 50cc on Wii U, in which case the CPUs are actually too easy and that's not even fun. I know a lot of people think that the difficult CPUs are a good thing, but I think this is too much. It also has the same problem as Double Dash, in that when you drift, you have to push the steering stick in the opposite direction in order to get a drift boost. I really just don't like the difficulty with this one. That's kind of it. The track's great, and the ability to customize your car is definitely a must. Also, up until this point, Mario Kart did not have a battle mode. Hey, editing John here. Apparently, Mario Kart Double Dash had a battle mode in the multiplayer mode only. Just wanted to confirm that for people who were probably confused. All right, enjoy the video. This changed to Mario Kart DS. Battle mode in this game is It features Balloon Battle and Shine Thief. The game also has a mission mode, which is basically what it sounds like. You do missions. Otherwise, Mario Kart DS is going to go in A tier. Next up is Mario Kart Wii, the first Mario Kart game to feel really close to the modern feel of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Still not quite there though. It feels a bit more like Mario Kart 7 than anything else. Let me start out with this. In terms of how the game controls, it's near perfect. Older games in the series just felt kind of clunky and bad if I'm being honest. But this felt good to play. It actually felt like a game that I could sit down on the couch and play for 3 hours without ever stopping. Now, the battle mode. I don't personally play Mario Kart games for the battle mode. This one was kind of in the middle. It was just good. To be fair though, who plays Mario Kart for the battle mode? If you do, drop a comment. I'd like to know. Now, where's this game sit on the tier list? S tier, baby. A classic Mario Kart title, Mario Kart 7. This game controls very smoothly and just feels great. The CPU difficulty level is also great. Not too difficult, not too easy. The track selection is incredible, featuring countless dope tracks. This game also has 2 different battle modes, Balloon Battle and Coin Runners. The battle mode in this game is alright. It's alright, but it's not super great. Racing mode though, that's what everyone plays, and that's what's amazing. Now, I've been praising this game the entire time that I've been talking about it. This doesn't mean I don't have my complaints. They're minor, but they're still there. Firstly, most obvious, it's on the 3DS. The 3DS isn't the most comfortable system to play on. It'd be cool if they were to port this game to the Switch. However, I can't really see that happening because the only game that was ever ported was Mario Kart 8, and that turned into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that's kind of it. Secondly, whenever you get bumped by another racer, you get thrown to the side way too much. Like, I fell off the track one time when that happened. Like, that's not supposed to happen, Nintendo. And finally, I suck at Woohoo Loop. S tier. Next up, we've got ctgp 7, the ROM hack for Mario Kart 7. Now, this game was definitely more fun. FBI, open up! Now, Mario Kart 8. This game kinda sucks. I mean, it is fun, don't get me wrong. However, it sucks when compared with 8 Deluxe. Like, come on, Nintendo. Why in the actual heck did you decide, you know what? Let's not give this game a good battle mode. Let's throw that all in the garbage. Anyway, aside from the abysmally bad battle mode, this game isn't half bad. It's only a quarter bad. The tracks are great since they brought a bunch of old tracks back in HD. However, it's not really my favorite in that it's not as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is because it lacks a lot of the core features that make Mario Kart 8 Deluxe fun, like smart steering. That's super awesome. The fact that a beginner can play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and not have to worry about falling off. It's just really cool. Another example of this is double items. This game just kind of feels like a pre-build of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that was never supposed to actually come out. It doesn't feel complete, and it makes perfect sense why they re-released it as 8 Deluxe. A tier. Now, we finally get into the final game of the tier list, and it's also the best one, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This game is actually good. Finally. Now, you may have realized that I compared probably every single game in this tier list to 8 Deluxe, but this is because I believe that this is the definitive Mario Kart game. It's just really solid all around. It fixes everything that made 8 Deluxe bad. Now, not to dunk on Nintendo, but why didn't they just put these features in the OG game? Otherwise, this game just feels super great to control. To add to that, Nintendo added a bunch of tracks to the game in the form of DLC. This makes the track selection the best in the series, 100%. The game also has a pretty solid battle mode, since it has like 5 different modes, which is really cool. This game is just near perfect. I almost don't really know how to explain it. Nintendo is going to have to do good to top this game, dastardly. And with that, consider the Mario Kart games ranked. Thanks for watching.